Take me inside the room at a central bank
Mm.
during whether it's a moment of crisis or kind of these short-term decisions, right? I think from the outside, the average American doesn't even know the central bank exists, right? They're just like, hey, I'm going to work, I'm going to make money, I'm going to go home, do my thing, and I just want to live my life. And like, what's a central bank?
Right.
For those that are a little bit more maybe knowledgeable or interested, their view is that there are people who go into basically a conference room. There's a bunch of data that's presented and kind of consumed. And there's some, I call it guesstimating, right? In terms of, okay, we're looking at data. I think the central bank knows that the data is probably a little bit lacking in terms of, immediacy, because it's not real-time data. And then two is, every central banker I've ever talked to is like very well aware of the complexity and difficulty of trying to use, data that happened 60 days ago to make a decision today to try to forecast what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah.
But was that your experience? Like, what happens in those rooms?
Well, gosh, those rooms. I mean, so I was a senior vice president at the St. Louis Fed. So the St. Louis Fed is one of 12 regional Feds in the Federal Reserve System, and that is centered at the Board of Governors in Washington, D.C. In times of crisis, I have to say it's really the Board of Governors in D.C., along with Treasury and the administration, that kind of, take hold. The regional Fed presidents typically play a more important role in the day-to-day conduct of monetary policy in the 8 Federal Open Market Committees, the FOMC meetings that are held each year. But here, let me walk you through what happens. I'm working there. I'm an advisor to Jim Bullard. Jim Bullard there's a board of directors. In fact, the board of directors is what appoints the president of the regional Feds. These board of directors are bankers, they're local banks. They're people from the community. They could be they're not just bankers, but business people and social workers. It could be a wide variety of people on this board. And the president meets with them on a regular basis, and they report on their business. What's going on with the regional banks? What's going on with my business? What am I seeing? And so the Fed president gets a lot of firsthand reports from his board members. Fed president also has a lot of contacts in the region. I think Walmart is headquartered in the St. Louis district. So you're talking to the CEO of Walmart. Mm-hmm. Tell me you don't get information about what's happening in real time. I'm talking to the CEO of Walmart. Mm-hmm. He gets a lot of information. On top of this, we have in St. Louis and other branches, but in St. Louis we have 3 regional branches, one in Louisville, one in Little Rock, and one in Memphis. Mm-hmm. They each have board of directors populated again by local representatives of the community. I've been down there. You talk to them. They have go-arounds. They report on their business. They report what's happening around the local economy. The Fed president gets all this information, and then he's briefed by his staff. Myself, for example, we have regular FOMC briefings. And then there's council. A small group of us will meet with the president and kind of disseminate or process all this information. And think about what it might apply for, say, interest rate policy at the upcoming meeting. Mm-hmm. Then they all gather at the FOMC 8 times a year, all of them in this room, along with their assistants and a few other people in the room, and they discuss. They have an economic go-around where each Fed president and every board member reports on local conditions, especially the Fed regional Feds are reporting on San Francisco Fed, will report on the Western District, et cetera, New York Fed, et cetera. They have an economic go-around, and then they have a discussion about what the appropriate policy action is. So, yeah, there you go. I mean, that's just a little bit of there's a lot of stuff going on. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not perfect, but I think that the Fed presidents, the FOMC, the ones who are undertaking the monetary policy decisions are about as well informed as anyone. And New York Fed in particular will have a lot of information on Wall Street and what's happening in financial markets. Mm-hmm. So I think they're about as well prepared as anybody in terms of the information they have available.